All right, let's get right into it. We've all seen the productivity hacks, right? The new management systems that promise the world. But what if the real key to hitting your goals wasn't some external tool, but a fundamental upgrade to your own internal operating system? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. So, first, we've got to talk about a problem I think pretty much everyone can relate to. We're going to call it the accountability trap. You know that feeling, that really frustrating cycle of starting something new with a ton of energy and then just falling right back into the old habits?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You launch a new project, you start a new fitness plan, a new initiative with your team, and you're all in. But then, somehow, keeping that momentum going feels, well, almost impossible. Why is it so incredibly hard to just follow through?
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The source material makes it really clear that this isn't just some personal failing. It's a systemic problem. This exact same cycle of a temporary fix, it happens everywhere, from huge corporate boardrooms to our own personal lives. It's a pattern of just complying for a little while, not real lasting change.
And here's the kicker. We've been looking for the solution in all the wrong places. We think, oh, if we just have more check-ins, tighter deadlines, more oversight, that'll fix it. But those are all external pressures. The framework we're digging into today argues that whole approach is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how we actually work. Okay, so if the old way doesn't work, what's the alternative? Well, this leads us to a pretty radical shift in thinking, an inside-out approach to getting things done. And wow, the difference is, it's stark. The data from the source shows that those external systems, the extra meetings and all that, they give you this little temporary bump in performance, maybe 10, 15%. But look, it vanishes after about a month. An internal system, though, that creates sustainable long-term performance. The goal isn't just a short-term sprint. It's about building an engine that runs on its own power. And the name for this internal engine is authentic leadership. But here's the thing. It's not about leading other people, at least not at first. It is all about leading yourself. It's a framework for becoming your own most reliable, most consistent source of motivation and progress.
So who's the mind behind this whole systematic approach? It's Dr. Mostafa Bouattane. And his background is really fascinating. He's a medical doctor and he has an MBA. Think about that combination. It means he comes at this whole performance thing with the precision of a doctor and the strategic thinking of a top executive. He actually developed his framework by studying what really works for high performers in these incredibly demanding fields, like medicine and research. This slide just lays out the difference perfectly. On the one hand, external systems, they basically fight our human nature. They rely on pressure, which only creates temporary compliance, at best. But authentic leadership, it does the exact opposite. It leverages human nature. It cultivates motivation from the inside out to create real, actual, lasting transformation. Okay. So that's the what and the why. Now let's get to the how. The entire system is built on developing 4 core capabilities. You can think of them like interconnected apps in your new internal operating system. And here they are: truth, reflection, unity, and enhancement. Each one builds on the last, creating this really powerful, comprehensive system for leading yourself. Let's take a quick look at each one. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with truth. But this isn't some vague, soul-searching thing. It's about becoming a data scientist of yourself. You're systematically tracking your energy, your patterns, your triggers, so you can stop operating on assumptions and start making decisions based on actual evidence. Then, once you have that data, you move to reflection. This is where you shift from just reacting to problems to actually thinking strategically. It's where you learn to systematically break down challenges and, crucially, focus your energy only on the things you can actually control. Number 3 is unity. This is the bridge between knowing what to do and actually doing it. And honestly, this is where most systems just completely fall apart. This capability is all about building an engine for execution that runs on consistency, not on fleeting motivation. It's about making progress inevitable. And finally, enhancement. This gives the whole system a really modern upgrade. It's about using AI as a cognitive partner, not to replace your thinking, but to amplify it, to help you spot patterns in your own data that you might have otherwise missed. Now, I know this might all sound like a lot, but the real power of the system is how practical it is. So let's look at how you could actually start building this internal operating system, like right now.
One of the key tools from that Unity module is something called a micro commitment. So forget these huge, overwhelming goals. A micro commitment is a tiny action like 5 to 15 minutes that is so easy you can do it even on your absolute worst day. It's binary. It's either done or not done. The point isn't the single action itself, it's the momentum and the trust you build with yourself by just showing up day after day.
And here's how those tiny actions fit into a bigger plan. The source actually lays out a 30-day quick start program, which makes the whole system feel totally achievable from day one. You start really small in week 1, just tracking your energy. Then each week, you layer on another piece, building the system bit by bit so it never feels overwhelming.
So what's the end game here? What's the ultimate goal of all of this? Well, it's a profound shift in where your drive comes from. It's all about becoming your own engine for progress. Let's just put it plainly. The old way, relying on your boss or your team or some app to keep you on track, that's just managed compliance. You're doing it because you feel like you have to. But authentic leadership, that's something else entirely. It's true autonomy. It's the freedom and the power that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself to see things through no matter what's going on around you. And that leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. Just consider it for a second. What could you truly achieve in your career, in your projects, in your life, if you knew for a fact that you were your own most reliable source of motivation and progress? What could you build then?